pitted in front of Harvick, so he followed him to pit road, and the car was tight for Harvick anyway, so he wanted the chassis adjustment, half a round out of the left rear, 4 brand new tires. They told him to be very patient. You're going to be much better than some of these cars in front of you as he reworks his way through the field.
Oh, that's working that patience, huh?
Kevin Harvick and patience?
Not in the same sentence. Well, Kurt Busch is just, every time they have a restart, he drives off from these guys. Carl Edwards is in second, but here comes Jeff Burton. Alan, Jeff said he thought he's going to be okay. Looks like he's going to be.
Yeah, you know, Jeff actually, just before the start of the race, Ben, he said he was kind of confused as to how good they are, because the way that they use tires during practice in the NASCAR Busch Series is different than the way they used them in the Nextel Cup Series. He said he was a little confused as to just how good they might be, and then he said, but you know, it's fun racing when you have good race cars.
Matt?
AB 2 cars back, the 33, the red car of Tony Stewart. He would have loved to have pitted under that last caution, but stayed out for track position and also to stay on their same fuel sequence. Smoke says the car, balance-wise, is a tick tight in the center. It really hinders him trying to get back in the gas. The car is way too free, currently running in the 5th spot.
Kurt Busch in his 5th Busch Series race. Won at Texas, 4th at Phoenix, 2nd at Lowe's, 3rd at Dover, leading at Chicago. Kurt Busch continues to lead here at Chicagoland. Take a look at our Wendy's race menu. We're right back here tomorrow live on TNT for the NASCAR Nextel Cup Series. The halfway mark of 2006 live on TNT, 3 o'clock Eastern Time. And our coverage begins, of course, with the Bank of America countdown to green.
All right, folks, if you're a Kurt Busch fan, start worrying. That 60 car is gaining. Matt, what about the 39 car?
BP, that's exactly what his spotter just told him. The 60 of Edwards is gaining on you on the entry and through the center, but Kurt's bigger concern is the water temperature. It has climbed to 240 degrees. Bill?
All right, Matt, thanks a lot. Since you got us started, let's take you through the field, and we'll check in on the 60 car with Alan Bestwick.
That would be Carl Edwards, Bill, who started on the pole and led some of the opening laps of this race before reporting his car lacked back-end grip, and he slipped back as far as 3rd. Did not pit on that caution flag a moment ago. He's running 2nd right now. Jeff Burton started this race in 16th position. He's moved up to the 3rd spot. Jeff says he wants the front end of his car to be more responsive. Told his pit crew, you can go to work on that next stop. Dave?
Dave Blaney is complaining that his car is loose everywhere. His biggest complaint, I cannot get into turn 1 without slipping the rear end of this car around. We're going to try to adjust on their first pit stop. Matt?
Brand new race car for the 33 team. Wally Rogers, Smokes crew chief, brought a new downforce car here as they continue to develop that type of car, which has been one of their strong suits this year. He runs in the 5th position. Alan?
J.J. Yaley started the race in 15th position. His crew told me before the race, watch for us to go to the front. Well, he's moved up from 15th to 6th, did not pit yet, and he's reporting his car not turning in the corner as he needs it to, Dave.
On that very first caution for Denny Hamlin's spin, Jamie McMurray thought that he ran into the back of someone pretty hard, but not hard enough to hurt the grill. They took a close look at it from above the pit box in their pit stall and reasoned that they were just fine. So far, Jamie is. Matt?
Chicagoland has been 50-50 for Greg Biffle. 2 bad races, but 2 good races here, including 2nd place 1 year ago. He stayed out in the last caution. He says the car is good. Marty?
Well, Matt, I wonder how that patience thing's working out for Kevin Harvick. 13 laps on these tires from 19th to 9th. The car extremely fast and faster than those in front of him. He said the car just wants to spin out when he goes in the corner. As soon as that corrects itself, he'll be even faster, Dave.
Marty, Casey Mears didn't have a problem like that. His car was actually handling very well, but there was a piece of debris on the grill, and the temperature had gone up to 250 degrees in the water temperature. They pitted to clean that and put on 4 fresh tires. Bill?
Thanks, Dave. Let's go back, check out what's happening up front, Benny. What did you say about Carl Edwards?
He's coming and kept gaining on that 39 car. We see him, and he is running the bottom of the racetrack. He has Kurt Busch, the 39, up high. Edwards to the lead. Well, maybe.
Kurt Busch has led 30 laps. Edwards led 6, trying to get the lead back.
That's traffic up ahead of him.
Carl started on the pole. Carl didn't have a very good first lap in qualifying. He gets around Kurt, takes the lead. So he asked on the radio if he could take a 2nd lap, and that 2nd lap in qualifying Got Carl and his team the pole position for today's race. Let's continue going through the field. 11th place. Here's Marty.
And since Matt Kenseth's pitted, he's restarted 20th up to 11th. He's marched through the field quite nicely. He said the car is a little bit loose, kind of concerned, said it feels like the left front's not working like it should. Alan?
Dale Earnhardt Jr. qualified for this race in 34th position. I asked his crew chief, Tony Uri Sr., what happened. He said, I don't know. Junior came on the radio a little while ago, said, car feels pretty good. He's on his way to the front. Another guy on his way to the front is Bobby Labonte. Kind of a one-off start for the Bruco Racing team. In that 66 car, he started the race in 25th position. Told me before the race he thought the car was decent. He's moved up to 13th. Dave?
Reed Sorensen described his car as pretty good. Nonetheless, they pitted on that last caution because his car wouldn't turn exactly right in the middle of the corner. They made an air pressure adjustment, took on 4 fresh tires. Matt?
Paul Menard, the Milwaukee winner, Dave, is already pitted.
Well, Matt, now twice Clint Boyer has come from the back of the field to the top 10. He's currently in the 16th position. John Wood's having a nice run with this run.
Didn't help. So he said, you know what we need to do, guys? We need to put one of those spring rubbers in the right rear of the car. That
BP talked about earlier, the import the car with a track bar adjustment. Dave?
The 59 car of Stacey Compton started 18th today, has dropped back just a couple of positions. His complaint, the car will not turn off of turn 2, wants to push out toward that outside wall.
And there is the 59 of Stacey Compton, who runs in the 20th position. So look at your top 20 cars in today's race. And right next to him, Todd Cleaver in that 06 car.
Who tomorrow will be making his first NASCAR Nextel Cup start.
Behind him, Butch Gilliland, who came from nowhere, Benny, to get his first Busch Series win earlier this year.
You know, David Gilliland started 8th position, but he's going backwards to 22nd.
Yeah, did I say Butch? David Gilliland, right.
His father is Butch.
Yeah, that's right.
That's
one of the best stories of the season so far.
On for the race leader, Carl Edwards. He just called his team on the radio a moment ago, said, I have a vibration in the front end of the car, something shaking very heavily. We'll keep an eye on it. Matt?
The leaders working their way through lap traffic, which is not good for the yellow 39 of Kurt Busch, who now has some clean air to help bring down that water temperature, which had climbed well over 240 degrees. Look for the team to pull some tape off that grill to get more air in to cool the engine on their next stop.
Pushed out, so I guess they got too much tape on the start of these races.
You see the grill opening. You need air to go through there through the radiator to cool things off. And here the 8 car, folks. Dale Earnhardt Jr. He is going toward the front. The last 10 laps, he has been the fastest car on the racetrack.
That's for 10th spot right there.
Earnhardt Jr. zooming through the field.
Yeah, he stepped.
Had a good car last. He had some driver.
Jr. even
seems a little needy. How many times? Not as West.
Kurt Busch. And he
Edwards' car.
The crew chief on that 60 car.
Up on the track.
Around the Labonte.
Tony Stewart, the car was just plowing. It was so tight, especially in traffic.
And Silver Jeff Burton, very pleased. So
into that 33 car, Tony Stewart. Matt, you know what went on down there?
And that's what Wally Rogers, the crew chief, is trying to find out right now. Looking things over, definitely. And that's
a lot of work to do after losing all that time on.
Cylinders, there are only 7 of them working in that engine, and that's not going to work out very well by the end of the day.
No, as a matter of fact, it's hard to imagine that car running another couple of 100 miles on 7 cylinders.
Daily back in the 20. This Oil Platinum on TNT is brought to you by Pennzoil, not just oil, Pennzoil. By Free Credit Report and by Kenseth, one of several drivers that stopped under caution on lap 17, continues to lead. Casey Mears runs second.
Be coming in about 10-15 laps from now.
There's the 33 of Tony Stewart, a long pit stop for Stewart.
Gas man in the rear of the car. Watch these fellas here. The catch can puts the wrench in so they can make the chassis adjustment, and the gas man goes back for the second can. The catch man plugs the gas. Don't you know that the driver, Tony Stewart, is about to go nuts? And finally, I don't know if they got it, if the can emptied, or they just finally let the jack down and said go.
Just way too tight. He said what they wanted to do was take out.
One adjustment you can make inside the cockpit is to adjust some brake bias to the rear of the car. That was suggested by his crew chief, but he called back and said, I'm not using any brake. So they decided to make an air pressure adjustment to try to make this car turn a little bit better. 4 fresh ones for Casey Mears. Matt.
And David Gilliland making his way down pit road. Going to go up on the track bar 2 rounds now. They tried to work on the balance, tighten up on the last stop. Also look for an air pressure adjustment to help this 84 car. The track bar adjustment already completed. Already has 1 win this year, a very impressive win. And like BP says, a lot of people looking at this young man. Good stop.
Tell you what, that's not bad. Not bad at all.
The 12 car, Tracy Hines, too fast on pit road. That'll be a pass-through penalty. Matt Kenseth comes to pit road. Gives up the lead and heads toward Marty.
And finally, the Matt Kenseth car, the 17 car, comes down pit road, Bill. He said the car was just way too tight that time. They're going to make several changes for a guy who was out in the lead. They're going to put a round in the right rear, a pound in the right rear tire, and a half pound out of both left side tires. Matt said the car was just way too tight at the end of that run. One thing he did do, he followed Dale Earnhardt Jr. to the high line. He really liked that. So with these new tires, he wants to go to the high line of the racetrack and see if it will work for him on brand new tires. The 4th tire going on, Kenseth pointing back out on the racetrack.
Good stop.
Will need to watch his speed. David Gilliland, too fast entering pit road. Pass-through penalty. There is the 84.
That's very costly penalty under green. Like the 5 is about had it. Marty?
Well, immediately after he spun earlier in the race, remember Kyle Busch brought out one of the first cautions today. He said, guys, it's not affecting me now, but I do know the engine spun backwards. And when that happens, it usually doesn't live very long. That's probably what's happening right now.
So he creeps down pit road.
He coasts down pit road because there's no power.
Yeah, when the driver puts the window net down, pretty much over.
You know that from experience,
Oh,
Wally?
yes.
Michael Waltrip scored as the race leader.
Michael Waltrip now. Wally Rogers, first off, did you get the car full of fuel?
Yeah, we got the Old Spice Chevy full of gas. I really don't know what happened. They must have had something wrong with the exchange there. It's just unfortunate. Our car's really good. We're just going to have to dig down deep and get it back.
I was running back in the 29th position. This is a nozzle like the teams use on their gas cans. Now, this is a backup one that they've actually already swapped out on their gas cans just to make sure everything that they can do on this side of the wall, they have done. So the next stop, they don't have this issue again.
Good job, Matt. Thanks a lot. Tony Stewart has worked his way up to 27th, a lap down. Clinton Boyer gives up the lead and comes to pit road, and Marty's waiting.
And he wanted to stay out and lead a lap. Obviously, this is a man trying to win the championship in the Nascar Busch Series, trying to kill. But this car has been very fast, especially at the end of this run. It'll be 4 tires, no chassis changes at all for this 2 bunch. Clint very happy with the race car. Let's see what he can do if he can keep it up front this time, however.
We've seen a lot of penalties today, are we not?
John, and another penalty, Bill. John Andretti had a tire roll away in the 10 car.
Penalty, waiting for Denny Hamlin. Will be 24th, 1 lap down. Alan?
Well, Denny Hamlin was hoping that just maybe, might get a caution flag in the middle of this cycle of stops. It would have gotten him back up front and trapped a lot of other people a lap down. Hasn't worked race up in the front in the top 10 in 5th position and spun out off of turn number 2. He came on the radio then and said, I think I just overdrove the car. They've been trying to dig out of the holes that could drop them back to 39th spot way back there.
Back up front, 4.5 seconds ahead of Kurt Busch. We've gone about 68 green flag laps here at Chicago. "91 laps are complete in the USG Durock 300 here at the Chicagoland Speedway in Joliet, Illinois, and Carl Edwards continues to lead. He's led 40 laps today. Kurt Busch has led 30. And Edwards started from the pole. And we are hustling around this place today at a record pace.
He almost has a 5-second lead on Kurt Busch. Todd Cleaver go a little high.
Yeah, Cleaver was a little bit higher than I think he wanted to be.